We are on Teamless Tuesday live reactions round 25. How are you guys going? Hopefully a good run for you in the head-to-head finals. Hopefully you got a win this week. If not, tough luck. My team personally copped a lot of injuries this last couple of weeks. So my team's in dire straits right now. I am hoping and praying that these team lists are friendly. Otherwise, I could be in trouble. I've got one trade left. So... I'm probably going to have to trade Nathan Cleary with that one. And I'm guessing a lot of you guys are in the same position. Let me know who we got here as well. We'll have a chat. We'll go through team lists. We'll hit all that up. Sup, Butters? How's it going, man? Good to see you. And apologies, guys, too, for the delay today as well. I was out playing golf all day and then looking at 4x4 utes, actually. So I'm planning to do a bit of camping, bit of traveling around Australia, that sort of stuff in the off season. So I was gearing up for that. Aussie Frost King, how's it going, brother? Good to see you, mate. Jahu, Cleary for Edwards, the cool kids trade. I mean, Edwards does average about 60 without Cleary, 52 with Cleary, so that makes a lot of sense. I like that too. Manaki was good to see you, mate. And then Vats, obvious question, who to trade for Cleary? I'm going to pump through that. So when we go through this today, I'm just going to highlight every single guy that I think is a Cleary replacement, the risk, the upside, all that sort of stuff. So we'll go through that. Jack, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you here, Andrew. Hey, how's it going? We got Dinah too, sup, brother. Jack, I'm 1K off doing Cleary and Finu to DC and Teddy. That would have been a great pair of trades too. We can look at some alternate options. So DCE, I'm not completely convinced on. I don't mind the idea of going a different direction from DCE. I'm not sure about prices. Is Burton more expensive than DCE now? Because I'm almost more keen on Burton than would be on DCE. Then one trade to rule them all. Both of the last 2 weeks, I've had a trade booked in and just had to reverse it because of last-minute injuries to, important players. Payne Haas, Nathan Cleary, Connor Watson, all those sorts of guys. It's been tough. Sorensen, Madison, Katoa. There's more. There's been too many. So let's get into this. Teamless Tuesday reactions. So Tigers and the Seagulls, and I'm just going to pound through some of these, right, guys? And we're going to focus on the really important stuff. So for the Tigers, we've got Mason, Alamalo, Fairtape, Tupou, Staines, Galvin, Caesar. Then we got Tokamanu, Coruscant, Clemmer, Seyfarth, Finu, and Papali'i. On the bench, Latu Finu, Sione Finu, Fanuapole, and we've got Alex Twal, extended bench. Nothing too noteworthy here. I'm going to highlight a few things here. So Heath Mason keeps a spot. If you need a cash out and need a guy at wing fullback, I don't think many people do, but if you do need that, Heath Mason is a guy who scored decently last week and will have a bit of time in that role. So don't mind the idea of Heath Mason if you need a cash out. Rest of this back line I have no interest in. Lockie Galvin, talked about him quickly. So Benji Marshall was in the press this week talking about how he would have loved to have given Galvin a rest, but they need Galvin to win games. So what's going to happen there? They want to keep winning games. They don't want to get the spoon. They've got this game. They've got a bye, and they've got the wooden spoon playoff. So he's not getting a rest in that wooden spoon playoff, I would guess, which means you got Lockie Galvin. He's going to miss next week, but he's fine other than that. For the forward pack here, Tokamanu, Coruscant, and Samuel Finu are guys that a lot of us have. So I'm a Finu owner, and I know a lot of you guys have Tokamanu and Coruscant as well. What do we do here? What do we do is the question. You just try not to start them, but at the same time, try and pick when they're going to have a big game, right? So this could be a week where, Manly's middle forward rotation is decent without being locked down. So I think we might see stronger games from guys like Tokamanu and Coruscant this week. In the same vein, Samuel Finu, he had an all-time shocker last week, but, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I mean, I think Tokamanu and Coruscant should do better this week. So I think if you need to start them, I wouldn't downgrade them completely, but I think they're going to have a bit of a bounce-back game. I think Manly will dominate on the edges, but I think through the middle, the Tigers will have a shot in this one. Let's just hit some questions here quickly. So we've got rolled back my trade to Murray because of Cleary. Oh, Murray would have been good as well. To be honest, Murray's a good target, by the way, for Cleary. If you, I look at that and it leaves me 250K, so it's not ideal. Matt, another week of fantasy. Yeah, look, we're starting some EPL fantasy leagues and some NFL fantasy leagues and all that sort of thing as well, and basketball too in the Discord. So in the Discord, there's another sports section. So I'm into NFL, for example. Berg's into cricket, so he's going to do a bit more cricket stuff. We've got a bunch of people in EPL. Like, you just pick your sport basically, but we're all sort of starting to look at other sports and focusing on the future after fantasy this year. Then let's see. You're the man. Thank you, James. Appreciate it, bro. Now 178. Thanks to you. Right? It's all thanks to you. All right. You're the one making the calls. You're making the trades. I just give the information. You're analyzing it. You're making your own calls. So congratulations on that great spot. Then we've got Learned Bottle with some special questions. Bravo. Then, should I do Cleary and Finu to Burton and Teddy, leaving me with no trades left? Or just Cleary to DCE, leaving me with one left? I think at this stage, you can burn your trades. So Cleary and Finu to Burton and Teddy, they're both upgrades. I think with 3 weeks left, I would take that gamble myself. But at the same time, there's almost certainly going to be some stuff happening that will make you regret it. So if you want to take the gamble, go take the gamble. I would take the gamble, but just keep in mind that you're going to probably be thrown a few curveballs. So if you prefer a conservative approach, that's easy too. And yeah, Jahu's covered it here. So cricket, NBA, NFL, and EPL have channels. I'm creating a bunch of leagues for the NFL fantasy. There's an overall EPL fantasy league as well. There's going to be more fantasy stuff coming through. So NFL draft is my game though. That's the one I absolutely love. Then Cleary to Carrigan, DCE, Cook, or Edwards. We'll talk about these guys, but I think Carrigan's a really safe option. And out of that list, I'm probably going Carrigan, Edwards, DCE, then Cook. Now, Cook, just because they're out of finals contention, right? As much as Cook is playing great footy, they just lost to the Tigers, and they're probably looking forward to next year. And Marmazelis is their starting hooker next year. So I would be shocked if we don't see Marmazelis eating up more and more minutes. Now, if you think Cook is going to play a bunch of lock, which honestly it's been happening, then you can take that gamble, but I just think it's not worth buying him. Discord link there as well. So that's sweet. And yeah, I'm bitter about it, but I've got Cook in a few draft leagues, right? So, I'm riding the wave with you guys. All right, last trade to Cleary and to Teddy, and my halves is Dylan Brown Hughes. Do you have a backup like Jai Gray or Care Weeks? Because if you have a backup, then I don't mind Cleary to Teddy. I think that's a good trade. What happened to the Coro to beat Cook average narrative? I said Cook would win. I was on the Cook side of that. So I think, was I? Or was I on the Coro side? I can't remember what I was. Man, it's too many bets. Nice one. Calling the Tigers there. And Mohammed has it going, man. 0 trades left. 6 players out. 2 players on the interchange. You're in hell, man. Okay. I mean, look, maybe a couple of those guys will come back next week. Maybe. ABM, thank you. Yes, I was on Cook. Yeah, see, I backed Cook over Coruscant. At the time, everyone was giving me crap about that. No, I just said, no, Cook's got pedigree. He's better than Coruscant. We all know that. All right, let's go to the Manly side of the ball. So Tommy Turbo, Jason Saab, we got Kohler, Garrick, Hopewadi, then Brooks, DCE, going to the forward pack, running with Paseka, Croker, Aloye. We got Olakawatu, Lawton, and Trbojevic. And then on the bench, Chan Kum Tong, Trbojevic, Bullimore, and Brown. Do we have any curveballs on the extended bench? Not really. Some middle forwards who could maybe come in at the last minute, but I don't think it's going to affect anything too much. So for this Manly side, who is relevant? Tommy Turbo is obviously getting the job done. If you need a wing fullback right now, he's got the Tigers this week. I always talk about this, right? But I'm not a big fan of Tommy Turbo as a fantasy scorer, but I am a big fan of Tommy Turbo, the player, right? So when I'm talking about Tommy Turbo, he has to play at a Dally M level to be relevant for fantasy. So if you think he's going to play at that level, then you can go get him and he can absolutely crush it for you. But the issue there is that, if he just plays regular footy, he doesn't pop out those easy 60s like some other guys do. Saying that, Tigers matchup this week is very favorable. So I think Tommy Turbo absolutely pops off. You could make a case for quite a few of these guys. So people talking about DCE. I like the DCE option. Ruben Garrick, I think, is still very solid, even though his scores haven't been crazy right lately. I still think he's a very solid option. If you have Garrick, stick with Garrick. If you don't have Garrick and he fits your price needs, then I actually quite like him, especially in this matchup. I think he absolutely kills it, and we could see a 70-point game from him. Into the forward pack here, Olakawatu, and fair question here. So Hamole captain. Do you do that? Look, Olakawatu hasn't been convincing at all in recent times. So You could make a case for it. I mean, we saw how Kalamatangi went last week. We saw how Talis Duncan went last week, 55 and like 73, I think it was, between two of them. So Olakau'atu could have a big game here and he could absolutely pop off. Would I captain him? No. But could he score 80 points? Absolutely. I personally don't recommend him as a captain just because he does score those 30-point games too often. It's a bit too risky. I'd rather go with Turbo or DCE, or honestly, I trust Garrick more than Olakau'atu at this stage. I think Olakau'atu has pop games in him, but he just has those low-scoring games, and the goal kicking of Garrick, for example, is what puts me ahead of him. Then just quickly hit some of these questions here. So what do we got? We got Cleary to Teddy and putting the C on him, and hands to Olakau'atu. They're good trades. I don't know about Olakau'atu and Teddy as captain. I like the trades. I just don't like Teddy as captain. I think it's too risky. Longy, where is Shorty? Is Shorty? Don't know. And then one trade, sell Nathan Cleary or Kenny. Probably Nathan Cleary, right? He's out for the year and you get whoever you want. So go Cleary for sure. Manly to make top four. Look, they're a team who gets hot 100%, so I don't mind it. Then we're running Riot. One game in our last 5. Mate, going pretty good. Yeah, pretty good spot Manly's in. Manly can beat anyone in their day. As long as they stay fit, stay in form, they're a good side. Does Keeney score well this week? We'll look at the matchup, but I would say Keeney will generally score quite well most weeks. He's just an absolute beast. Then we should beat this Tigers side. I'm confident against the Dogs and very confident against the Sharks at Brookie. All right. Well, if you get the Storm, Manly versus Storm's always a cracker as well. Then keep rolling through here. How many points do you reckon DC scores this week? I reckon 80 plus. I think he pops off, but not to that level. I would call him, something inside me is saying sort of 68 to 72 points. I think he's in that kind of bracket. So, yeah, I reckon that's probably where he is, about that number. Then, bad luck in draft. Yep, Jock's my opponent, our friend's Cash League for draft this week. And Jock hasn't scored above 500 in quite a while now. And I've been pumping out big scores. So I think I won't need luck, Jock. I got you beat. Easy. I'll tell you who to pick up this week even. I'll still have you beat. Brooks will cook the Tigers and celebrate with his barbecue, mate. He's in a good spot. Let's keep rolling through here. So Olakau'atu is a decent buy with the matchups, but not a desperate buy. So I wouldn't break my team for him, but he is a solid option. So Warriors and the Doggies up next. All right, so for this game, Warriors side of the ball, got CNK, DWZ, Pompey, RTS, Montoya, Metcalf, and SJ. We have AFB, Egan, Barnett, Niokore, Capewell, Walker. Looking at Lasik, Ale, Talanga, and is that Sifakula? Have I got that right? Sifakula? Someone let me know. I want to try and make sure I nail these. So for the Warriors side of the ball, what's relevant for fantasy is the question. If you are in a league where you're in a draft league and you have loopholes enabled like we do, Jock, then Metcalf is an option that you can chuck into a loophole for your halves position. I actually don't mind that. So he's a decent option there as a loopholer, but I wouldn't start him. I really wouldn't start any of these players. I think Dogs' defense is too good, so I think the back line's pretty much right off. Then for the forward pack, AFB and Barnett, they're probably the guys that you're thinking are relevant here. But even Niokore, Capewell, and Walker have all been performing all right. So I wouldn't be targeting any of these guys just because they do have that buy in round 27. It's going to be a major problem. But overall, I think you can just keep starting the ones you have. They've been scoring quite well and quite consistently. Wade Egan's back. So anyone looking at that Freddie Lussick score, don't worry about that too much. That's not anything to read into. Wade Egan will come back. And if you have Wade Egan in your side, by the way, he's a solid 17 guy, solid guy to have on your bench. I like Wade Egan quite a bit. For the Doggies side of the ball, these are probably some more players we target. So Tracy, Karaz, Zeri, Crichton, Adokar. We got Burton and Sexton. We're running Curran, Marnie, Hughes, Kickout, Preston, Mann. And then we've got Hayward, Moran, Hayes, and Salmon on the bench. This Doggy side is in some form right now. And look, before I get into them, SJ for the narrative. You could do SJ for the narrative. You could do. Look, it could happen. You're making a bet on his last 3 games of his career, so maybe it happens. I can't guarantee anything, but it's a fun one. It's a very fun one. So for the dog side of the ball, let's see. So Carraz is obviously on fire right now. If you need a wing fullback / center, great option. Pretty expensive, so probably not the guy I'd get. But the Warriors have been leaking points, so I think Carraz will absolutely kill it in this game. The rest of them, I'm not super keen on. I mean, Matty Burton's probably the other one we could look at. Now, because of the fact that Cleary's hurt, Hines is hurt, Moses is hurt, Adam Reynolds is sort of in and out of form. We're looking at a halves position that's a bit weaker right now. Even Fogarty is not going great. Let's see if Strange is next to him in the halves. That's going to be the big thing. But with Matty Burton, he could be one of those pseudo keepers. And we talked about him a couple of weeks ago as a guy who he can get hot and he can absolutely pump out a string of big scores because he has a bunch of kicking stats. He runs the ball a bunch and he's very potent in a dog side. It's absolutely killing it. So Matt Burton's a pod you could jump onto, and I'm a big fan of it. For the forward pack here, again, what's relevant here? So Curran and Marnie, they've been sort of carrying injuries and scoring pretty terribly for us, which is very disappointing. But if you have the trades to get rid of them, you can. If you don't have the trades, then you just got to stick with them. Do I think Curran will have a good game? I think Curran has some potential to have a good game in this one, but I'd probably earmark him for a 50, like just a flat 50. I don't think he pops off necessarily, but I also don't think he has a quiet one. I think he might start hot and then, maybe cool off a bit, but that's my feel. Marnie for me as well. It's been absolutely exhausting. I had Marnie traded out a couple of weeks ago, and then the Haas injury happened, and I had to reverse it. And it would have been the best trade. I wish I had done it. It hurts so much. This is a good shout too. IR and NRL fantasy. So in NFL fantasy, you have the option of putting injured players in a spot where they don't affect your team. We could maybe do that for NRL fantasy as well. I actually don't like that. I don't mind that at all. Then for the rest of the team here, Kikau, Preston, man, you can talk about those guys. Like Preston is a pseudo keeper, and if you like the Dogs and you like Preston should pop off in this game. I reckon he scores a try in this one and scores you about 65 points. So I think Preston could have a good game. But again, these edge-back rowers, it really is just you tipping which one you think is going to score a try. Like that's what we're looking at, right? Olakau'atu, Preston, Gus Crichton, all these guys. You're just trying to pick a try scorer. That's really what you're doing in the last 3 weeks. We talked about Olakau'atu last week, and I said if you think he's going to score 2 tries in his last 4 games, he's a good buy. He's now got to come out and score 2 tries, right? Preston's the same. He probably has a higher base stat, but still needs to score some attacking plays. For the rest of the team, again, not interested at all. Nothing on the extended bench. There's a few guys here. Max King on the extended actually is probably worth talking about. So if you're in a draft league and Max King is a free agent, you could go and get Max King right now. If you are in the Classic, you're probably not going to buy Max King, but just keep in mind that he might come back in. It might actually cause Curran's minutes to drop off, and it might even hurt Curran. So there's not much you can do about it with no trades, but it's just something for me to make you aware of. Rolling through. All right, Broncos and the Eels. And this one should be a belter of a game. And by belter, I mean the Broncos will score a lot of points. So for the Broncos, we got Saylor, Cobbo, Staggs, Mariner, Arthurs. We have Rogers and Reynolds. Then we got Jensen, Walters, Willison, Piakura, Ricky, Carrigan. We've got Moser, Hetherington, Karapani, and Tapau. So for the Broncos, look, Cobbo's back. If you're in a draft league where Cobbo's a free agent, go grab him. I actually stashed him in our league, Jock, by the way. I think I still have him. Guys, sorry, my team now needs me to react to this news. So I need to go have a look and see if I still have Cobbo in that draft league. Please tell me I do. Yes, I do. Boom. Cobbo was a free agent in our league. You can kind of see it. He was a free agent in our league. I went and grabbed him. That's perfect. So in your fantasy draft league, he might be a free agent. Just going to throw that out there. For the Classic teams, Adam Reynolds is at a very cheap price. So if you're looking for 2 players to buy and you want to get 2 guys and you want to get a top line guy and you need someone a bit cheaper, Adam Reynolds is actually a really good second option. So historically, he averages between 50 and 52 points a year. He should be fine for this last 3 weeks. Has some injury risk, 100%, but he should be solid. So I reckon Adam Reynolds is a great shout. If you're in Supercoach, I would take a bet on any of the players in the outside backs against Parramatta as well. So you might have Dean Mariner available. You might have Jesse Arthurs. Tristan Saylor is a guy who he's on a lot of waiver wires as well. Again, Parramatta's edges have been leaking a lot of points. So I would try to try to buy into that. Then for the forward pack here, Corey Jensen, Billy Walters, Wilson, Pierre Ricky, Carrigan. Carrigan's probably the one that you're looking at here. So if you have, look, you could make a case for Jensen as well, by the way. So Jensen as a super pod is probably a guy who can average 60 points in the run home. And I know a few of you guys are big Jensen fans. Here we go. Yeah, Jahi's in there. I know a few of you guys are massive Jensen fans. So look, fair shout to you. Some of you guys were on this really early. I thought the minutes would fade down the stretch. I didn't expect Payne Haas to get hurt. But Jensen's been absolutely killing it. So he could be a pod option you look at. Carrigan's the guy, though. Carrigan's the one. If you're going to get one of those guys, you get Carrigan. Easy shout there. Get on him. If you still have Xavier Willison, I think he'll go all right for the run home. So I'm calling him a 40 to 45 average for the run home. So he should be solid for you. Pia Kura, Ricky. Again, look, Ricky's a guy who's on the waiver wire in a few leagues as well. So you could target Ricky. Again, Parramatta have leaked some points. For the Eels side of the ball, we've got Gutho, Sevo, Penasini, Talangi, Russell, Brown, and RC. And then we're going through to RCG, Hands, Lane at prop, Tuolangi, Cartwright, and off Hangawi. Bench has Joey Lussick, Mahisi Makatoa, Luca Moretti, Dan Kerr. On the extended bench, Jake Tungo is out at the side, Dury, Sanders, Harper, and Ogden. Okay. So if you've got Tungo, you're probably pretty happy with him being available as a loopholer now because he covers center and wing fullback. So I'm pretty happy with that. For the forward pack, for the back line here, I guess you could talk about Gutho. You know, he's been pretty solid, but I don't think I'd be targeting him in a buy option. Dylan Brown, you stick with him at this stage, but I wouldn't be targeting him as a buy. I think these guys could score some points against the Broncos as well. Then for the forward pack, Joe Offahangawi is really cheap. And when he plays 60 minutes at lock, he averages like 55 points. So if you like Offahangawi, I like Offahangawi. Then, again, if you need that cheap player, that second cheap player, then get Offahangawi. If it helps you, then go and do it. Kelma Tuolangi is another one. So he's been pumping out massive scores at Parramatta when he starts. Good shout. He should be playing 80 minutes in this team. I'm looking at that bench and look, Makatoa, Moretti, and Kerr. They're all middle forwards predominantly, but Lane can move to the edge. So, there could be a bit of stuffing around, but I think Tuolangi is probably the guy who's in the best form. So I think Tuolangi plays 80 minutes. And again, if you're in a draft, Chuck stealing all my stuff, mate. That's all right. I've got Cobbo, so I'll be fine. Offahangawi's going to kill it. I think Tuolangi's going to kill it as well. They're just pumping out some big fantasy scores. Even if you have Lane, Cartwright as well, at this stage, you just hold on to them. Keep the wheels rolling. The Broncos are under strength too. See what happens. All right, we'll keep rolling through here. So, because I really want to focus on the players who are buy options. So next up, we got the Raiders and the Panthers, and the Raiders haven't been defending great lately, which means the Panthers could put on a bit of a show here. The Cowboys absolutely destroyed the Raiders last week. So for the Raiders, we got Rapana, Hopewadi, Tomoko, Chris, Savage, Weeks, and Fogarty. We're looking at Papali'i, Starling, Tarpanay, Young, Whitehead, Smithies, Levi, Gula, Mariota, Sasangi. I was rushing through there because KO Weeks is in the halves. KO Weeks in the halves is interesting. So it's not as simple as KO Weeks is in the halves. That means he goes back to 55 average. It's not that simple. But it could be good and it could be bad. So the bad side of this is that Ethan Strange has been really ineffective for fantasy in that role and has been very, very reliant on attacking stats. The good side is that Strange isn't a passenger half, so he's not a guy who's just there as a ball runner. He's absolutely a guy who's going to take a bit of control in that half spot. Adam Cook scored really poorly in that half spot last week, so just keep that in mind. But I don't know what to read into this. It's a hard one to read into. I think it's a negative for KO Weeks. That's my initial feel, actually. Like, first thought was positive, and I'm just thinking about it more. Fogarty will probably be the dominant half, right? Like, he's almost certainly going to be the dominant half. So best we can hope for is 50-50. And then you've got a game against the Panthers where there's not going to be a lot of attacking stats. The more I think about it, the more I think KO Weeks is in for a pretty middling 25 to 40 point game. I think he's going to be in that spectrum. It's very hard to guess. I'm going to be starting him in my team because he's been really solid, but I'm not fully convinced. I'm sort of looking and thinking, if I had trades and all that, I'd think about it. For Fogarty, again, not great news for him. So you're not targeting Fogarty for a trade right now because Weeks is a more dominant half than what Fogarty is, going to score well with. Maybe you could. I think you still play Fogarty, right? You still play him, but again, not convincing. Forward pack here, Starling's been really off the boiler the last few weeks, and that's fine. Look, we got him very cheap. He overperformed, and he's gone back to the lower end of what we can expect from him. So I think he'll bounce back. He'll be fine in this game. They're missing a few players as well, so I doubt that. I doubt Penrith absolutely dominate the Raiders, right? I think, they'll have some opportunities and Starling should be okay. For Tarpanay, Hudson Young, Whitehead. We talked about Hudson Young quite a bit as a pod a few weeks ago, 70 points last week. So Hudson Young's been absolutely getting it done. He has a few quiet games in him, but he has these explosion games as well. I'm still a Hudson Young fan. And I think the fact that I'd love to know. So Hudson Young sits on the left. Liam Martin, I think, is on the right. Someone let me know if I've got that wrong, but I think Liam Martin's on the right. So I think Hudson Young will be up against Liam Martin. That could be a matchup where they both get sent off, to be honest. I was kind of hoping Hudson Young will be up against Maverick Geyer, but I think he's up against Liam Martin, so that's probably not ideal. If he was up against Maverick Geyer, I would consider him as a potential captain option. So for the rest of the team, look, Tarpanay's Tarpanay. Keep on rolling Tarpanay out. He played low minutes last week. I wouldn't stress about it. For the Panthers here, we'll run through their team. We've got Edwards, Laurie, Tungo, McLean, Toe. We've got Schneider and Luai. Then we're looking at Leota, Summerton, Fisher-Harris, Geyer, Martin, Yo, and then we've got Talau, Smith, Henry, and Cole. So for the Panthers side of the ball, Dylan Edwards returns to being a automatic great option. Now, the good thing about Dylan Edwards is he averages about 60 points without Cleary. He covers being fullback for you, and he's an absolute beast. This is a great matchup, so he could hit some attacking stats as well. It's all good news for Dylan Edwards. The only risk is that Penrith will almost certainly rest some players at some point. Dylan Edwards had a long layoff for injury. He probably doesn't need a rest, but if that injury re-aggravates in any way, then there's a chance that he gets a rest. So I think it's okay, and I think you can ignore this risk, but there is that small chance that he will miss a game. So he's not quite as safe as a player who's in a team that's competing for the finals. If you're looking at him versus Tommy Turbo, for example, Turbo has injury risk, but probably won't get a rest. Dylan Edwards is usually a bit more durable, but could get a rest. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, look at this too. Good shout, Jahu. So Raiders, Rabbits, and Titans run home. That is a very attractive run home. So it's hard to say no. And he's the goal kicker as well. I'm leaning towards Edwards. I'm just highlighting that one little risk. Just keep that in mind. Have a think about it. But other than that, you're pretty sweet. For the rest of the backline here, look, you could basically start any of these guys. So Laurie, Tungo, McLean, Toe, even Schneider, Luai, all these guys, they're all viable options right now. Not all of them will score well. So what's going to happen in this backline is, up against the Raiders, there's going to be some points on offer. Two of these guys will score between 30 and 40. One of them will score about 50 and one of them will score like 70 or 80 points, right? And you don't know which one it's going to be. It's very hard to predict if it's going to be McLean or Tungo or Laurie or Toe. Toe's got a higher base than all the others, but I think if you have these guys, you probably start them for the upside this week. I'm pretty high on the Panthers backline this round. Schneider, draft option. So if you're in a draft league, he is available on the waivers for most of those leagues. Then forwards, who's going to absorb some minutes here. So we got Liam Henry and Lindsay Smith on the bench with Maverick Geyer keeping the starting spot. I doubt Maverick Geyer plays as many minutes as last week. I think he'll play less minutes. Summerton on the bench as well means that Cole will probably come on at hooker. So that negates one of those bench spots. And then Isaiah Yeo is probably just the one that you're looking at here, but maybe he gets a rest at some point again, right? So you have to factor that in. But Isaiah Yeo, I think, is probably the strongest captain option this week. And he does tend to score all right without Cleary. Like, he's pretty unaffected by that. So, yeah, Isaiah Yeo is probably when you can target. Other than that, I don't really trust most of this forward pack. I think the rest of it you can really skip out on. Yeah, Yo for captain. I think Yo's a good captain option this week. Right now, my captain sits on Yo. But if I go Edwards, I might switch it to Edwards and just have some fun at this stage of the year. And then Galvin captain, it's pretty crazy, but it could work. Up to you. Bench spot, Piekara or Starling. Ooh, can you loophole? Surely you can loophole at this stage, right? You got that many injuries. I would probably try and loophole. If I had to pick one, Piakura has some upside against Parramatta, but I'd probably still take Starling. I'm thinking putting the captain on Murray this week. That's a great shout. Murray's been super solid. Nuke, the trades left, rough. Then Gary Jack, fullback this week. Hail Mary, it's a long shot, but maybe they do it. Tarpanay, oh, sorry, disappointed. He's had some big games though, so don't stress. Don't have Edwards, 0 trades. Oh, rest in peace, your season. Should I sell Cleary because of his injury? 100% he's out for the year. And then I need help with trade. Cleary, damn. Yeah, so we'll talk about Cleary here. He's done for the year. If you don't have trades left, don't feel too bad about it. It's been a rough year. Like, I do want to speak to those of you who have no trades left. Like you've a lot of you guys have played really, and teams I've seen of yours, you've played really good fantasy this year. You had a really good shot at it, and a lot of real awesome highlights. But you come to the end, and your team's falling apart, right? And you want to fly as close to the sun as you can on these things. Like you want to max out your team. So when you get a few extra injuries to what you were expecting, you just flame out basically. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. You made trades that you thought were good at the time, and I've done the same thing. Don't beat yourself up is basically my main thing I'm going to say there. And come back next year and learn from the lessons. And then maybe there's a few trades that we made during the origin period or preseason, like early in the season, that we might not make next year. We might hold on to those instead. And you can talk about different strategies. So that's the key thing. Don't be hard on yourself. We play for fun, and you've had a great time. A lot of you guys have made some really good moves through the year. Dogs of War, we love it. I lean towards captaining Billy. Billy Slater was so average in fantasy back in the day. So he used to cost 133K in 2010, I think it was. 133K. Because he got 4 points for a try, 2 points for a try assist, no tackle breaks or anything like that. And all his stats just didn't count for fantasy back in the day. It was a really low-scoring game. Cleary, Cotter, Drinkwater, Madison, Watts. You are in a tough spot. Probably Cleary's got to go. Maybe Cleary and Madison, and you can make that work, I think. I think that's probably what I'd do. Cleary and Madison out. And you bring in two guys that you like. Thoughts on jumping on Luai playing halfback? Yeah, Luai's been a beast. If he fits your team, if you want a pod, he relies on attacking stats, but they have good fixtures, so Luai should be a good shout. I can get you over. Don't trust the last round. That is the risk. But I think he'll play the last round, but I'm not certain at all. And I took a gamble on Hands last week. Oh, he's doing this. Yeah, he's not going great for you, is he? Keeney, we love the Keeney. Piakura, I've had a great time. Made good for. Oh, good man. That's the way. That's the way. We all play for fun, right? Make the calls. Come back next year. No one remembers your rank last year, and you start fresh, and you hope for that win, right? I'm thinking Keeney for captain this week. It's spicy. Let's get down to that because we're sort of through Penrith. So when do the Dolphins play actually? Oh, they're pretty late. Okay, Dolphins. Sorry, I was looking at the Dolphins. Titans. So Titans are in a couple of games. So we'll talk about Keeney when we get to that point as well because the Roosters aren't impenetrable wall of defense. So Storm and Dolphins. Obviously, a lot of talk right now that the Storm are going to rest a lot of players down the stretch. There's a very good chance that Pappenhausen, Cam Munster, Jerome Hughes, Harry Grant, maybe Eli Katoa, potentially some other guys as well, will all get a rest before the end of the year. And there's potential that it's a whole game. There's talk it'll be staggered. So you got to keep that in mind. But you can't really pick which game it is. For that reason, I wouldn't be buying any Storm players, most likely, but I would be sticking with the ones I have, right? So I'm on Jerome Hughes, for example, and Sean Bloor, but a lot of you guys are on Munster, Pappenhausen. You just got to stick with them, right, at this stage. It's too late, but if it really affects you, you can trade them at the time if you have trades. Fair assumption here, too. Have to assume it's the Cows game. No reason to bring the boys to Townsville. Talk that they're going to stagger it is what I'm hearing. So, We'll see what happens. Really, it's hard to predict. And you can't predict the restings, right? Because the restings are decisions made by the coaches, and they make the decisions in advance, but they also factor in the niggles that players have. We're not behind the scenes. Like, I'm not in the medical tent of every club listening to what they really think. I only see the public stuff, same as you guys. So we can't tell. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just don't buy a Storm player is the key thing. And love you too, Geography Greg. Love you too, bud. The goat. He's ever reliable. So for the Storm here, what are we going to talk about? Dolphins are a matchup that's usually a bit of a shootout. So the Dolphins should be a game that some of these Storm players can play well. If we're looking at these guys, I would say your hardcore starts are Pappenhausen, Munster, Hughes, Harry Grant, Eli Katoa. I would say you can give a shot to Sean Bloor, hope for attacking stats. He's been really disappointing recently, but I think most teams should start him. Then for the back line, some of you guys have Jack Howarth. He's not a bad shout to start this week as well. He's been a bit low scoring recently, so the score run hasn't been great, but he should be decent enough in this one. There's potential for attacking stats. So I like him, but I'd probably start him behind the Penrith boys. So I'd probably go McLean and Tungo over Howarth. That's how I see it right now. But Howarth has a stronger base. It's more that those boys have that attacking upside that Howarth doesn't quite have, right? So he has some big scores in him, but not quite at that level. So that's how I see the Storm team. On the Dolphins side of the ball, we got Hammer, Asako, Avarillo, Farmworth, Bostock, Nikorima, Katoa. We got Bromwich, Plath, Pangai Jr., Kafusi, Lemuelu, Bromwich. And then we got Keeley, Nichols, Stones, and O'Sullivan. So for the Dolphins side of the ball, I think they're going to be pretty clamped up by the Storm here, unless we see, bulk restings and changes at the last minute. Extended bench doesn't suggest that, although Christian Welch is on the extended bench, so he probably comes in. But yeah, for the Dolphins side of the ball, I mean, who would I trust? I'd probably be looking at, if you have Hamaso, you just start him every week and you see what happens, but I'm not confident. Then Herbie Farmworth is kind of matchup proof and has a good matchup regardless of what side he's on. So Howarth plays on the left for the Storm. I think is Herbie on the left as well? I can't remember. Either way, Howarth or Meaney, I think they're both good matchups for Herbie Farmworth. So I'm confidently starting Herbie this week. Max Plath is just absolutely motoring. So you start, Plath 100% as well. And then for the rest of it, it's really unreliable. Like Felice Kafusi's been going all right for you. So if you're a Kafusi owner, keep starting him. He's playing good minutes. But otherwise, they're all a bit of a lottery ticket. Like Lemuelu, Pangai Jr. They're guys that, if you're in a draft league and your team is really weak and you want a lottery ticket, they're guys who could potentially be that sort of player. But against Storm, I wouldn't be doing it. Let's keep rolling through. So we got the Rabbits and the Knights. And for the Bunnies and the Knights, what is fantasy relevant in this one? So in case you missed it, Latrell Mitchell is gone for the year 100%. He's also suspended for round 1 next year. So that's interesting to see. Jai Gray has that spot locked down. Jai Gray is absolutely killing it. He's the best thing about my team right now. There aren't that many things to choose from. So Jai Gray on fire. Keep starting him. He's doing a great job. Fletcher Myers has been in good form recently as well. So if you've cashed out to Fletcher Myers, he's a guy who should be solid in this game. The Knights are a matchup he can definitely exploit. Then for the rest of the back line, again, you can take flyers on these guys, but I don't fully trust them. Jack Whiten next to Dean Hawkins is interesting. So Hawkins should be a genuine 50-50 halves partner, which means Whiten's base stats will be a little bit lower. I would factor him in for about a 35-point game plus attacking plays. So if you get some attacking plays, which it's honestly a coin toss with Jack Whiten, then you crank up to 50, 60 points. But with no attacking plays, I call him like a 30 to 40-point player. For the forward pack here, we got Moali, Cook, Kepi, Kolomatangi, Duncan, Murray. Then we've got Marmazelis there as well with Host, Burgess, and Mitchell. Forward pack here, Cook is absolutely on fire. You can buy Cook. It's just, when do Souths give up? Do they give up? Maybe they don't give up, right? But when do they give up and sort of go, all right, cool, Marmazelis, you're starting a full game at hooker this week. I don't know why they wouldn't do it before the end of the year. I'm pretty confident they should do it. I think they should do it. I don't know if they will do it, but I think they should do it because he's going to be their starting hooker next year. So give him a crack at it. They've got some pretty friendly matchups as well. I would give Marmazelis a go. Move Cook back to the bench. He's not going to be there next year. But there's no guarantees that happens, right? So Cook is on fire. He's absolutely killing it. It's just that Souths aren't competing for a final spot. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do that. Kolomatangi, Duncan, and Murray are all really exciting as well. So again, if you're in a draft league, and we talked about this earlier, but Duncan is a guy who I really like in draft leagues. He covers middle. And if you're a guy who, I own Madison, for example, in our classic draft league, I've got Sorensen, another one, Payne Haas, another one. I've used Duncan as a replacement a couple of times, and he's been really effective. Then, for Cam Murray, great option. So I think Cam Murray is one of the best players for fantasy right now. We talked about him last week. Look, the score was massive. The score was absolutely huge. Tigers are a friendly matchup, but still, it wasn't a big attacking stat game. It was just pure base for him. So I look at Cam Murray and I still think like 60 to 65 average is what we expect. So I call it like a 62, 63, 79 or 84 or whatever it ended up being last week. That's not regular. But at the same time, he's pretty fresh right now and he could just come and absolutely kill it. So Cam Murray is a great shout. I'm a big fan. Jahu, good question. If I had to rank him amongst the best locks this year, would I say Cam Murray is the best lock in the comp? Yes. Cam Murray is the best lock in the NRL. Not for fantasy necessarily, but for real life, I think Cam Murray is the best. He's number one. I think he beats out all the other guys, but that's just me as a Blues fan backing him up. All right, so bench, no interest. Night side of the ball, we got Ponga, Sharp, Gagai, Lucas, Marzu. We got Cogger and Crossland. Looking at Sofidi, Brayley, Thompson. We got Frizzell, Pierce Paul, Adam Elliott, Will Price, Croker, Hetherington, and Jones. So all you Pierce Paul owners, I hope you held on to him and started him last week because he's got to try. He's got to try. And he got a good score for you. That is a win. For the back line here, I think any of these guys could pop off, except for Phoenix Crossland. But the rest of them, from 1 to 6, any of those guys could pop off. Now, which one is going to pop off? Who knows? It's very difficult to pick. But South Sydney's back line has not been defending well, and their team doesn't have much to play for right now. They're going to throw the ball around. They're going to play attacking footy. My prediction here is it's going to be a bit of a shootout sort of game. I think for the Knights, we see a Ponga show out in this game, hopefully. And then I think it might be more of a Marzu day than anyone else. I think Marzu might pop off in this one. Cogger as well, he just has the ability to randomly produce 60-point games. So if you're desperate in a draft league, need a half, I quite like Cogger in this game as well. For the forward pack here, I mean, Jaden Brayley's been performing well lately, so I know a few of you guys need hookers in draft leagues as well. If you're a Connor Watson owner in a draft, again, like I say draft because these aren't worth buying, these guys in Classic, but for a draft, he's worth it. Front rowers, I'm not super interested in. Then Frizzell's been going all right lately. Adam Elliott's been all right. Again, I'm not targeting any of these guys for buys, so I think we can skip past them and move through to the next game. Now, before I start talking about this game, because there's actually a lot to talk about in this one, I'll just answer some questions, and then, any Roosters or Titans questions, fire them through as well. We can hit those too. All right, let's see. Where are we up to for questions? So, Eric, I did have fun this year. It was my first year probably playing. Lowest rank was 59th. Oh, mate, bravo. That's cracker. 59th, top 100. You can take that. I think my best this year was like 80 or 90. Might have been 70. It wasn't 59. It wasn't as good as you during one game. So that's awesome. That's really good. Then Cleary to Edwards. I like that a lot. Loero appreciation comment. Yeah, he's been going all right lately, so not bad. 7-point Pap. Could do, but he can also score 80 points, so it's a really tough one. Finns continue to fade out. I think so. I think they will. And I'm risking my last trade next round for Cleary to Hines. Oh, if Hines comes back next week, masterstroke. I've got Hines in, actually Jock does as well. I've got Hines in a draft league where I'm stashing him, and I'm hoping he comes back soon. So fingers crossed. Grand final in a 10-team league, no trades. Cleary, Gonski, Watson, Drinky, just managed 17 blokes. Ooh, mate, look, these are the weeks where there's no expectations on your team, right? So you come in, you have all these injuries, you're putting out a team, they have no expectations. Often, those are the weeks you win. Just going to put it out there into the universe. I think you might win your game. I think the lack of expectations, you'll go into it confident. The boys will feel it, they'll sense it, and they'll come out and perform for you. Duncan's great at edge. He is a good edge. I actually quite like him there. They seem to like him more in the middle, but I like him on the edge. Then Val Holmes or to Ellery Hanley in a Bundy mixer. I know. I like Val Holmes. Then let's see. Ben Hornby has Cookie in his fantasy team. I mean, it feels that way, doesn't it? Turbo's captain. I think this is a total wild card. It could burn you, but it is a great bet. I like it a lot. Murray for the captain. We like that as well. Cleary and Watson. Fainu to Murray and Manu. Yeah, Cleary and Fino. I wouldn't sell Watson. Watson's back next week. Yeah, you mentioned it too. Watson's back next week, so you hold on to him 100%. KBB hold, it finally paying off. It wasn't worth it. I mean, maybe if he scores another couple of 80-plus games, then it might be worth it eventually. Yo, AFB or Turbo for captain. It goes Yo, Turbo, AFB for me. But if you want the pod, go Turbo. Or AFB if you like AFB as well. C for Teddy. Again, look, I don't love the matchup. So the Titans have been really weak lately, but the Titans are a tough little team, and they could just randomly come out and play a good game, and Teddy could be shut down. Like I feel like Teddy it makes sense on paper. I just feel bad about it. So if you like it, go and do it, but I'm not fully keen on it. Keeney, 2 p.m. day game. Yeah, this is good. This is really good. So Keeney should kill it this game, we hope. He's been an absolute dynamo, and the Roosters don't love playing great for more than 10 minutes at a time. So, yeah, he could absolutely pop off. Then let's keep rolling through. What do we got? Going against a fella with 1 win and more trades than the rest of the league combined. Then why is he in the finals? That's brutal. All Keeney's 80s were 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. day. That is actually great insight. That is great insight. We talk offline. Send me the details on that, because that's actually very good insight. What's Longy's price, average, and break even, please? Oh, man, I'm pretty expensive. So when I was playing footy, my stat line sort of looked like, the games where Dave Fafita doesn't really get involved, kind of like that, right? So 5 tackle breaks, some meters, a few missed tackles, a random chip kick, that sort of stat line. So I call myself about maybe 480k, dual position, middle edge. Decent option, can pop off for a hat trick every now and then. Then see you in the grand final next week. Ooh, watch out. I'm coming to get you. And then, 38-point play in the last 5 minutes. We love it. That's the play. That's what you want, consistency. Consistency of inconsistency. So, Titans, let's go through them. Keeney, Pereira, Kelly, Sami, Fafita. Then we got Campbell and Foreign. Looking at Fodawaker, Verrills, Jolliffe, Fafita, Fermor, Randall. We got AJ Brimson on the bench again. Really weird move. Liu, Clark, and Cleese. So Bofema's back. It's really good news for you guys with Bofema. Enjoy the ride. I wouldn't buy him necessarily. I think this is not a super favorable matchup. But just the injury risk is really what's put me off it. Then for the rest of the team, so Keeney and Campbell, they can pop off any given game. And I would expect they go well this week as well. So I think this game should have enough attacking plays in it for them that they can produce some pretty good scores. I think you start them with confidence, and if you want a real wild card captain who no one else is going for, you could captain one of those boys. Now, the downside to that is that the Roosters could also win this game 50-0, right? It actually is within the realm of possibilities. So if that happens, then it'll really burn you. But if you want a super, super pod, Keeney and Campbell, 2 guys who can score 100 points. I just reckon they have that in them before the end of the year. So that's up to you if you want to take that mega risk, but it is very risky. For the forward pack, I don't think much of it's worth talking about. If you've got Dave Fafita already, you understand what a 52 to 58 point score looks like because you've seen it every week for the last 8 weeks. But other than that, what are we doing? Jolliffe, Verrills, they're all right for draft leagues. Jolliffe might be free in draft league. Go grab them there. But overall, I'm not super keen. Chris Randall's doing a job, but again, not a guy I'd buy. Roosters, we got Teddy, Tupou, Suoli, Manu, Young. Then we got Kiri and Walker. The Young owners absolutely celebrated last week. I wouldn't expect him to score as well this week. But at the same time, Titans leak some points. He scores a lot of points. He could be a shout to pop off in this game. He'll be up against the Kelly and Pereira edge. So it's Kelly and Pereira versus Joey Manu and Dom Young. That's pretty attractive, actually. The more I think about that, that's pretty attractive. That could be a very strong edge, and they could absolutely feast there. So maybe Dom Young is an option where it's very hard to recommend you captain him, but if you're playing Super Coach or something like that, then Dom Young is a genuine captain option this week. For fantasy, you could take a shot on Young or Manu if you got Manu as well, and go for that pod captain again. They're in that category where they have that potential to go 80 plus, 100 plus even, with the matchup they have. For the rest of the team, I think any of these Roosters starters should score well this week. A couple of them won't. A couple of them will pop off. A couple of them score average. That's always what happens. But they all have the potential to pop off. For the forward pack here, what are we doing? We're looking at Connor Watson's out, which means Nat Butcher's at lock. Again, if you're in a draft league, Nat Butcher for 1 week is very effective and probably on your waiver wires. For the rest of it, Gussie Crichton should theoretically be solid in this one. Again, if you don't have Gus Crichton, you're taking a bet, right? So you're betting on him and the Roosters producing some attacking plays. I'm losing faith a little bit. Like I thought a couple of weeks ago that he would figure it out and kick on, but these Roosters players haven't really, in the forward pack, really figured it out for fantasy. So I still think Gus Crichton's a good bet. He's a real pod bet right now as well. So you can make that bet if you want to. This matchup theoretically should be good for him. Then for the bench, yeah, nothing too interesting there. So we'll keep on rolling through in a sec. I'll just quickly hit some of these questions. So what do we got? Big Paddy for C. Yeah, Paddy Carrigan's a great captain option. I like that a lot. Then going up against the fellas one, yeah, we talked about him. Let's keep rolling down. What do we got here? Watson and NPR is a rough go. So you've got Teddy, JC, Keeney, Crichton for feet. That's a good set of players to have, though. Like they're all guys who can pop off. So you could get a big score out of this one. Martel, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Currently ranked 35th. Need advice for my bench. I've got Blore, KPP, Marzu, Iro, Starling, JDB. Don't want to play McLean. I have Cleary, but no trades and can't use him to loop. Whew. Got a lot of options. A lot of options. So out of that group, if I'm picking 4 of these guys, from Blore, KPP, Marzu, Iro, Starling, depends what you're shooting for, right? So if you're 35th, are you trying to consolidate to a good rank or are you trying to win? Winning is probably too far away, but are you trying to crack the top 10, for example? So if you want to play for upside, I'll recommend KPP, Marzu, Iro, and Starling is the upside play. If you're just looking to be safe, then I'll say Blore, KPP, Starling, and DeBellin, most likely. That's probably what I'd say. But it depends on the strategy you want to play there. At this stage of the year, it really is a specky as well. Like you just got to back your gut, right? So look at the matchups and think about it. Like, do you think, let's say, for example, a player in this game, like if you had Sawley, do you think Sawley is going to score tries against Philip Sami? Maybe, right? So you make that call. Need a mid, Cleary to either Carrigan or Murray. Probably Murray. Murray's flashing some huge upside. He's got more attacking upside than Carrigan as well. So Carrigan is super, super safe, but Murray has that big explosion upside that we saw last week. Gus was unlucky last week. Yeah, fair shout. That was a messy game, but he nearly had a few plays as well. Think of any trades yourself this week. I've got one trade in the bank. I'll do Cleary to someone, and it'll be either Murray or Dylan Edwards or someone else. Maybe someone else. Probably those two, Murray or Dylan Edwards, I would say, is who I'm going to target. Potential to target, edge back rower as well. Maybe I'll have a look at the matchups and do my fixtures. But yeah, definitely selling Cleary this week, 100%. And then Manu, Lomax, Toe, or Young for the run home. Probably looking at, I like Lomax's matchups, but I like Manu. I'd probably skip Toe at this stage just because I think Toe 100% gets a rest at some point. So then it's between Young, Manu, and Lomax. If dual position is valuable to you, you probably make that a factor and you choose Manu or Lomax. Manu has bigger upside, but Lomax is safer. That's kind of my answer there, right? So Lomax doesn't really, he scored 100 plus once this year, but he doesn't really score 100, whereas Manu can go out and do that, right? And he's leaving the NRL at the end of the year. So do you want the huge potential with lower scores as well in Manu, or do you want to go the safer option, which is Zach Lomax? That's the key there. Can we get the Longy, Kafusi, Skullet if Eels get the spoon? That would be filthy, wouldn't it? Oh, All right. I'll do the skullet, guys. I'll do the skullet if Eels get the spoon. Hey, also one thing too, guys. And yeah, Edwards, Fred High. I probably will do Edwards. So one thing I do want to point out as well, we're going to be doing fantasy awards soon. So I'll post it out pretty soon. But I'll post out for votes, right? So I'm going to let you guys basically decide who wins these awards rather than just me choosing. And we're going to do votes on each position for fantasy awards. Coach of the year as well. Worst coach of the year. So the coach who screwed us over the most, Trent Robinson. And then we'll do some other fantasy awards too, right? So yeah, we could use polls in the Discord, or I'll put something together basically for that. We'll talk later, Jahu, as well. But yeah, keen to get your votes. So I'm gonna on buy, hold, sell. I'll start the video by explaining how to vote and that sort of thing. Because yeah, super keen to get everyone's input. I think also we'll try and do some awards or something like that for the worst trade that anyone made, and you guys just send me the worst trades you've done this year. Stuff like that, the closest matchups, all that sort of thing. We'll do some awards. I'll probably record that with Biz next week. So Biz is on holidays this week. Getting him back next week. We'll do that awards show probably next week, and maybe do it in the Tuesday slot even. So, all right, let's keep rolling through. That's going to be fun, though. I'm actually really looking forward to that. So for the Dragons and the Sharks, all right. Dragons and the Sharks, what are we going to do? Dragons, side of the ball, we got Sloan, Lomax, Finai, Tupulotu, Bird, Hunt. We got Molo, Little, DeBellin, Leilua, Sewer, Eisenhuth, Couchman, Laurie, and Fatar Mariner. Extended bench is pretty irrelevant for both sides. So, cool. Let's have a look at this. So for the Dragons side of the ball, Zach Lomax is a great option. He's pretty consistently a great option, right? So I'm a big Zach Lomax fan right now. The Sharks is not necessarily a great matchup for him. So the Sharks have been pretty solid defensively recently. But I still think Lomax is a guy that you can usually rely on. If I was buying a wing fullback now, so a couple of weeks ago I was high on Lomax because of the matchups coming up, and he's pumped out some big scores. But if I was buying one this week, I'd probably be buying for the better fixtures. So I'd probably be looking at guys like Dylan Edwards or guys like Tommy Turbo who have really good matchups and leaning into those. But Lomax is a guy who's got that dual position that neither of those two guys I talked about just then do, where he's a great shout. And no, I don't love Lomax now just because he's going to Parramatta, but it is a part of it as well. It definitely is a part of it. So, yeah, that back line, other than Lomax, is probably not super interesting. If you're in a draft again, Jack Bird could be available. Really good option in draft leagues. Then Ben Hunt's been going all right, but I like Burton better. But if you like Ben Hunt, you can take a shot at him. For the forward pack here, Leilua and Sewer have been in form lately. But again, like Sewer, you picked him for the fixtures. Sharks are a bit of a tougher matchup. Little's been on fire lately, so I think he's scored 75 and 67 the last 2 weeks. So Jacob Little's been killing it. But again, you're probably not going to buy Little right now. Basically, for this Dragons team, I sort of trust most of these guys as guys you can put in your 17, but I don't trust them enough to buy them. You know what I mean? They're all kind of solid in this forward pack, other than Molo, but the rest of them. So I wouldn't be targeting any of them as buy options. Maybe Sewer if you really believe in the Dragons. Yeah, Little not bad either. He just doesn't do it consistently. That's the problem for me. And then Sharks, we got Kennedy, Stone Street, Ramian, Iro, Mulatalo, Atkinson, Trindle. We're looking at Rudolph, Brayley, Kafusi, Nakora, Wilton, McInnes, Jack Williams, Royce Hunt, Hamlin-Uele, and Hazelton. Okay, so for the Sharks, again, it's a very forward-heavy bench. If anyone was on Jack Williams during the bye rounds, he is no longer an option that you can start because off the bench, it's done. He's not the guy. So let's start with the back line here. So with the back line here, we've got Mulatalo in, Katoa's out this week, Stone Street's in. Then that's good news for Stone Street owners. Iro's back. Iro was out with illness last week, so I wouldn't overread into that too much. Then Atkinson, Trindle. Atkinson's been killing it lately, but he will no longer kill it. With Trindle back, he goes back to being a pretty average scorer. Trindle back. If you've got Trindle, you could start him this week. His hamstring injury is very minor, so I wouldn't expect a re-injury on that. Forward pack here. Cam McInnes went well last week. He played 85 minutes. He's not going to play 85 minutes this week. So I would discount that and not target Cam McInnes myself. But Cam McInnes just does get 80 minutes every now and then and score massive. So if you think he will, follow your own gut on that. I just don't think he will. Nakora seems to be pretty trustworthy right now, but I think he'll be quieter in this game. Then Wilton's back. He's pretty cheap. Again, he's around there. Other than that, it's probably not super interesting plays here. So I think that actually takes us through. So let me know, guys, if you've got any trade questions. I'm going to scroll up to the previous game because that last game is a bit of a dud for fantasy, but this one here is a cracker. So yeah, let me know if you've got any questions, guys. Any questions you've got for trades, any of that sort of stuff. I'll hit a few of those up now, even though it's, it's pretty early. And we'll do the video tomorrow as well. Pick My Team tomorrow is really focused on trade questions. So that's where I've done more research and you get actually better advice. But hey, worst trade, anyone bringing in Lussick. So actually, that'll be an award category as well. Oh, by the way, let me know what you think. So shoot me some messages here. What should the categories be? So I've got things like best hooker, middle forward, edge, worst player, worst cash cow, worst gun, worst coach, the coach who screwed us over the most, and then things like best captain, worst captain. But let me know if you have any other categories, because I think worst trade. I'd also be keen to do a category where it's like unluckiest loss or something like that, or unluckiest story or unluckiest coach. One of you guys who had the worst luck. Maybe you went undefeated in the regular season, then you copped all these injuries and you lost in the finals or something like that. We'll put together. But if you have any ideas, I'm open to ideas right now because I'm just putting it together now. Worst round is actually iconic. I want to see the worst round. That's so funny. But it has to be a team that was set correctly, right? So it can't just be a team that someone has that's garbage. It's got to be someone who's actually put a team together and it just scored like 450 points. That would be really funny. All right, let's hit these questions up. So, and keen to hear those ideas, by the way, guys. So have Cleary and Haas still injured, 2 trades remaining, an edge is a must, and then I can use second trade for anyone. Who are the best edge options for me? I'd be looking at the matchups they have. So it's between Preston, Crichton, Hudson Young, Olaquatu. You could make a case for Kolomatangi, right? So they're sort of the guys. So which one do you pick? Look at the remaining 3 games and just think, all right, do I think that Manly are going to destroy these teams? Yes. Well, Olaquatu will have potential to pop off. Do I think the Roosters are going to destroy these teams? Yes. Well, maybe Gus Crichton pops off. Do I think these players are going to get a rest? So I think Gus Crichton actually does have a little bit of risk of getting a rest, just a small amount of risk. They had the bye recently, so it's not a high risk, but it is definitely there. Huddy Young, I think he won't get a rest. The Raiders still fighting for a final spot. I think they might have just fallen out of the finals. But, look at those things and sort of make your own call on that narrative. That's the key thing, right? Because you've got to look at it and you've just got to have a gut feel, basically. Because they're all very similar fantasy scorers. You're just picking which one's going to pop off for attacking stats. So that would be my answer there. It's a bit of a roundabout way of doing it. I'll talk about the best options at each position later. So what I'm going to do for the video tomorrow morning for buy, hold, sell is I'm going to go position by position, right? I'm going to start at hooker, go middle, edge, half, center, wing, fullback. So I'm just experimenting with a few different formats right now, actually, just because it's the end of the year. But I think that will answer the question too. So I'll talk through each of those guys. I'll look at the fixtures and I'll tell you what I think about them. Carrigan to get 80 minutes. Yeah, I reckon he gets close to it. Maybe 70, I'd call it, but I think he still pumps out 60 points. Best buy with 554K. I have no idea who's at that price. Maybe Offa Hengawi, Adam Reynolds, those sorts of guys. We'll talk about it tomorrow as well. Join me on doing Cleary to Edwards. That's probably what I'm going to do. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Is Teddy a good captain over Yeo against the Tigers? So Teddy's up against the Titans, but yeah, you could make that case. It's an upside play with risk. I'm not feeling Teddy this week as a captain. I can't explain it. Everything is good on paper. I'm just not feeling it. Don't know why. That's just what I'm thinking. Edwards gets a rest surely. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. We'll see. Depends on if he's carrying that injury. Cleary, Blore to Murray, Carrigan. Still 2 trades left. Yeah, these are good trades. These are big upgrades, so I like that a lot. Compare the week before score. Oh, yeah, so the lowest score is in like the biggest drop. That's not a bad shout. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. All easy ways to show support. Oh, thank you. I should be saying that. But yeah, guys, make sure you are subscribed in particular because, we'll get into the end of the season. That's fine. But I'm going to start making some preseason content. We're going crazy next year with the analytics, right? So you want to be subscribed so you see that preseason content as soon as we start putting it out. That's the big thing, right? Because if you can get ahead on that for next year, when it comes out in January, February, then you'll be ahead of all your league and you'll be in a position to do really well, especially in draft leagues, but also in classic leagues too. Would you play KPP versus Rabbitohs or Bo Firma versus Roosters? Bo Firma's been so much better. But the Rabbitohs is a better matchup. That's a real tough one. Bo Firma has that injury risk. So if I remove the injury, I would say Bo Firma. But with the injury, first game back from injury, there's always that 10% chance the guy gets hurt and it gets re-aggravated, even though it's sort of a weird injury. I'm kind of leaning KPP myself. I think Bo will outscore KPP by a couple of points, but I think the injury risk is significant and it could hurt you. So I'm going KPP in my head, but there are probably other players in your team I'd start both of them over. So just keep that in mind as well. Keeney got 85 versus Tigers and the Titans lost 18-10. There we go. Yeah, I think he scored no tries in one of those 80-point games as well. So yeah, decent shout. Similar format to round 19, I assume. That helped people a ton. Yeah, similar sort of thing, but I'm just going to keep it in the lists, right? So I can show you guys how I will go through it in terms of the stat pages, and I'll click into those players and look at their fixtures and all that as well. Then leave Cleary for Hines. That is outrageously ambitious. Maybe if Hines comes back next week, you look like an absolute genius. But I need the points right now, so I'm gonna make those moves. Then bring in Carrigan and Murray, or just one of those with either DCE or Burton. I like Carrigan and Murray better than DCE and Burton, but DCE and Burton have more 100+ point potential. So what you're getting with Carrigan and Murray is a pretty locked in 50 to 80 point game each week. With DCE and Burton, you're getting 30 to 120, right? So do you want to take the risk or do you want the safe scores? I lean towards Carrigan and Murray personally. I think they're really solid right now. But the only reason you would go for those other guys is if maybe you're in a head-to-head finals and you're the weaker team and you just need to pray for that big potential. That's why you would go for them. And yeah, one try assist, no try with 80 points for Keeney is absolutely crazy. He's a monster. It might be worth mentioning Tungo goes back to low points of that chin. Yeah, it could be bad. But the Raiders is a good matchup. So it could be offset. At this stage of the year, I don't think people have too many options. So I think Tungo is probably a guy, yeah. He's at least in your loophole is the key thing there. All right, guys, that is Teamless Tuesdays. So, yeah, been really good to do this. I've been loving doing this with you guys all year, by the way. So I really appreciate you coming back every week, hanging out, talking Teamless, all that sort of stuff. We're going to be launching the voting. So just keep an eye on the other videos. I'll post it to Instagram, Discord, all that as well. But we're going to be doing the voting for the award show for fantasy. So that's a big thing. I'm going to be launching some in-person events and that sort of stuff in the next 6 months as well. So what I've found is that there aren't, and let me know if you agree, but I've found there aren't enough venues where you can go and watch the footy and there's an actual good atmosphere. So I'm sort of trying to fix that right now. So I'm not opening a pub, right? But putting together some events for footy fans and particular fantasy players to get together and watch the footy and all that sort of stuff. Even in the preseason next year, I'm putting together some events where we can get together and create draft leagues and that sort of stuff. And you can actually meet some new people in person and do that sort of draft league stuff too. So yeah, keep an eye out for all that. If you're interested in all that as well, jump on Discord. Just shoot me a DM. I'm in Discord all the time, but shoot me a DM on Discord or Instagram or whatever and say you're keen on that sort of stuff too. And I'll make sure you're on the short list for all that as well. All right, cool. Cheers, mate. The casual pub. Casual pub, yeah, mate. Casual everything. I was out playing golf today, so casual golf. You can see I'm a bit sunburnt, actually. We should have put some casual sunscreen on. Anyway, guys, good luck this week. Hopefully it's a big one for you. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Buy, hold, sell. I'm going to go position by position, talk about each position, talk about these remaining fixtures. That's the big thing. It's all fixture-based now. We'll talk about all that. We'll go into that. Best of luck this week. See you on the next video, guys. Peace out.